I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is Scottsboro City Council meeting, a regular meeting tonight, Monday, August 14th, 2023. First, we'll have the invocation by Mr. Kennemer and a pledge of allegiance by Ms. Frederick.
Almighty God, we give you thanks and praise for your great goodness towards us. We ask you to be with the mayor and council this evening as they go about the public business. Lead, guide, and direct them in all that they do. We ask your special graces to be bestowed on the family of Mr. Bailey, who is undergoing substantial grief at the current time. Be with them all, be with us, Lord. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Phillips, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Mr. Dahl?
Here.
Ms. Tolliver?
Here.
Ms. Frederick?
Here.
Mr. Ashburn?
Here. Next, we'll move to the adoption of tonight's agenda, which each of you have before you. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next will be approval of the minutes for July 24, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
I make that motion.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We have no business tonight. We'll move into the new business. Next, we would consider a motion for the approval of the letter to support for the fallen officers memorial. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a motion for a budget amendment from excess sales tax for $10,000 for aerial photography partnership with Jackson County Commission. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
This is for $10,000?
For 3 years.
It'll be
For 3 years.
$10,000 each for the next three.
Correct.
With no further discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a motion for a budget amendment for $11,310 for dirt work at Veterans Baseball Complex. And we had discussed about this coming from ARPA money. Do we have a motion for this?
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
How, just real quick, how are things going with the list as far as retcon repairs?
Of the list of the things I couldn't really say. This will be a start of it, and then we're doing work on the playground equipment.
Right.
Waiting on some costs to come back for it, and that's the only two things I know of right now.
Okay.
And the nets, right, Donnie? The nets.
No further discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a motion for appropriation of tourism grant funds for the Airport Marine High School fishing tournament. $2,000 has been requested, and this would come from tourism funds. Do we have a motion for this?
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? With no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a motion for Resolution 2023-08-40 to reject and rebid the HVAC Unit 2 for the RECCON.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a motion for Resolution 2023-08-41 to surplus police department property. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider Resolution 2023-08-42 to approve one-time holiday for city employees, and this would be Columbus Day. This is one that we have done the last 3 or 4 years. This, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Was there any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll consider a budget amendment for $5,000 from excess sales tax and approval of AVENU contract for short-term rentals. This would cover the setup fee. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll announce a Commercial Development Authority appointments, and we'll open the floor for nominations. Do we have any nominations for this? And we have 2. It should be in your packet who is,
I nominated Nathan Allen.
we have Nathan Allen. Do we have another nomination?
I nominate Tanner Harbin.
We have Nathan Allen and Tanner Harding. We'll close the nominations. Now we will accept a motion for these 2. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we'll announce zoning board appointments. There's 3 of them, and we'll open the floor for nominations for that. Do we have a nomination?
I like to nominate Jason Bennett.
Say that again, please.
Jason Bennett.
I'd like to nominate Johnny Gamble.
Do we have another nomination?
Tim Saint.
Is there any more nomination? With no more nominations, we'll close the nominations. And now we'll take a motion to appoint these 3 people to the zoning board appointment. Do we have a motion?
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next thing on the agenda will be delegations. And we have one tonight, and that'd be Miss Debbie Mathis. Ms. Mathis, you have 3 minutes.
A little bit longer than that, but I'm glad that, appreciate the time to do that. I'm going to give you some, I guess I'm. So I think that's probably a compliment. And these are some pictures that, my office is on 705 East Walker Street, and you'll see a picture of my office there, you'll see some other photos, as well, that across the street, you'll see the second photo you'll see is two properties across the street that just recently renovated. One of them is not in the picture. There's a problem across the street where it's the old Norwood building, which you'll see there, and I have indicated the problem. On the third picture, you'll see a little bit more of a close-up. Since this person from Huntsville has owned this property, you know, the tree's fallen over the last 4 weeks, I understand that, but there's been no maintenance since he's been there. He actually had a homeless guy that was living in there. He moved out after I confronted him about it, confronted the owner about it. I talked to the city before, and he's in the back lot that he owns. There is actually some old vans and cars that he's piled into there, and I'm sure he's not able to do that in Huntsville, so he's decided to do it in Scottsboro. So then on the next picture you'll see is the Excel property that's down the street from me. Our properties are in the C3 zone, and that zone is for neighborhood commercial type properties. Excel actually brings in raw material, piping material, and they fabricate it to fit things. So I've questioned Josh about whether or not that's actually a manufacturing zone that they're in. But the same thing, there are vans in this property. You see the equipment that they have here. The vans have flat tires, they don't run, and that's the problem with that property. Then, of course, we have the Chevron property. So, as you see there, and that's been an ongoing problem for quite some time, you know, on that. Now, here, so I'm asking for help to help clean up my area. And one of the reasons I'm doing that too, I'm not only here as a business person and a citizen, I'm also here as an investor. Because on Laurel Street, this is what I took to the variance board on Thursday night. Excel actually asked for a variance on Thursday night, and they were going to come off of Shelton, come from the building to Shelton, which would have been 2 feet off of that line, and do some enclosure thing and continue to make it into that. So the variance board on Thursday actually declined the variance. I was there in objection to it. There were other things that were asked for on Thursday night. Another one was turned down, which was RV Park down on 79 that's across from Michael McCracken owns Tate's Barbecue, and he was there in objection to that. Those were turned down. But on that, you will see where I have highlighted 7 properties that I own on Laurel Street, and over the several years, you all know, I've bought those properties down there. And if you want to add that up, we're looking to about 1.3 million. And I need some help cleaning this up. See, one of my things, I'm going to take it a step further. I talked about this Excel, and they were turned down. I have a concern. When it is turned down, and Mr. Kennemer, don't give them any hints, but when it's turned down, do you all know what, you the council, know what they can do after it's turned down at the variance board? You know what can happen, how they appeal. They go to circuit court. That board that I was on gets very little support from this group. I don't think y'all know what they do. 5%, that board is a hardship board. 95% of the things that come in front of that board are people that have been told by the city to stop, and they don't stop. They continue to do what they want to do, and then they ask for forgiveness. 5% that came in front of our board was hardship. So this was turned down, but what this Excel can do, they can now file at circuit court. That's what they can do. When they get to circuit court, are you all told it's in front of circuit court? We're not told on that board that it's in front of circuit court. So me as a citizen who comes to a variance board and argues against it and get it turned down, I don't know when it goes there. There's a breakdown of something. So we need to be told, you all need to be told, I need to be able to be at circuit court if this happens to protect my investment. So I'm asking for you all to help me and citizens of this town, not only on this property, but McCracken's. Now, and the reason I'm saying that is Josh told Mr. McCracken the other night that anything that goes circuit court is approved. Now, that's sad, because we are not getting the representations. I'm sure Mr. Kinnemer does not know that when they're in front of us and what the arguments are. But we need help. The citizens need help. Investors need help. And because it's frustrating to me. You know, I work hard, I invest big, and I need some help. So I don't know what you can do or whatever, but I need you to know that there's an issue. And whatever you can do, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. This will be looked at. We'll have to get back with you on
Okay,
it.
thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. That's all the delegations that we have tonight. Next, we'll go to reports from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I've got tonight is to thank everyone for their participation Saturday in the co-ed softball tournament for Officer Eric Doring. Had a great turnout. Everybody, I think, really enjoyed the day, and it was a very worthwhile opportunity. So we appreciate everybody being there. And the other thing would be, again, to keep the family of Charles McCray in our thoughts and prayers, and Mr. Bailey. That's all I've got, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we'll go to the council. Mr. Dahl,
I don't have anything, thank you.
Ms. Tolliver.
Only thing I have is September, the first week of September on Sunday. Remember Arch Sunday. That is a huge event for our city, and I would love for every citizen to be out there that Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Frederick.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate everybody that came out tonight, and I also appreciate the people that put their names in the hat for these committees and boards, because it's, I mean, they have a lot to deal with, just like she was talking about, and they volunteer their time. I just want to say I appreciate them all.
I do too.
That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Frederick. Only thing I've got is I appreciate it, and some other people have come to me too, how they appreciate County Park 72 being open. Yeah, I can already see some improvement there. You know, used to, you could only make a left turn on one side, then you had to wait on the other one. Now you can, both left turns can happen, and that itself would be an improvement. The only other thing I have, announce a work session next week, August 21st at 5 o'clock, and that will be a work session.
Budget meetings. Budget meetings.
Budget meetings, right. We've had so many changes, I don't know what to say. Mr. Wheeler, do you have any idea as to what nights? Let's see, the ones on Tuesday and Wednesday were canceled. We have one on Thursday. We have Wednesday night.
We have Thursday afternoon at 4:30. Next week, we have budget meeting on Monday after the council meeting. And Tuesday, we have budget meeting starting at 4:30. And then Thursday, budget meeting starting at 4:30.
Okay.
And I changed the one that was for tomorrow night to 28 at 4:30. Which is very bad for council.
Okay, thank you, sir. 5:30. Right. I don't have anything else. It's time to now take a motion to adjourn. Do we
I'll
have a
make that
motion?
motion.
We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Meeting adjourned.